Okay, so we're going to call this, this is 3.8, factoring special polynomials. And the first one is the PST, and it stands for perfect square trinomial. That's the first. There are two special polynomials. The first one is the PST, perfect square trinomial. And really what it is the name says it all, they're perfect squares. So let's say you have x plus y squared, right? X plus y squared turns out to be x plus y times x plus y. Okay? That's what x plus y is, just two brackets multiplying each other like that. And I'm going to go to the right here just for time, for space, to save some space. So x times x is x squared. X times y is xy. Okay. Then you have y times x is also xy. And y times y is y squared. If we combine the like terms in the middle, we have that x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Okay. The other scenario you can encounter is x minus y squared. And I will just, instead of multiplying it all out, I'll just give you the final version of that. Okay. That would be almost the same except for okay. So I want you to underline this and underline this. Okay. And I would actually like you to rewrite this here, this part, right next to the very first one I gave you here. This is just showing you how I got that. Okay. And the second one I didn't even bother multiplying out. I just noticed all I need you to notice is this. Okay. If there's a negative between them, then there's a negative there. If there's a positive there, then the second term will be positive. Okay. And here's a note that I'm going to give you. First and last terms are perfect squares. Middle term is, and this just write it down for now, 2 times square root of first term times square root of last term. middle term is always even. Okay, because you're multiplying it by 2. Anything you multiply by 2 is always even. I don't know if you ever discovered that. So the middle term will always be even, no matter what. Okay? If it's not, then you know it's not a perfect square trinomial. It's not a PST. So example, if you have 49x squared minus 56x plus 16. Okay? Normally, you could do the same thing as you've done before. Try to see if you take out a negative. You can't, right? Like, there's no negative in front of the. Is there a common term? Nope. The next thing I want you to watch for is look at the first and the last number, right? If you look at the first number here, right? If you take the square root of that, square root of 49x squared, okay, you get square root of 49 is 7, and x squared of square root of x squared is just 7x. So it is a perfect square. It is, therefore, right? You can do the 3 dots. Therefore, it is a perfect square. That's good, right? Because square, sorry, I forgot the perfect square. That's what it says down here. It almost looks like space, but it's perfect square, okay? So I'm checking. It's like, wait a minute, is this maybe one of those PSTs? Well, let's check there. Let's check the back here, the back term. And square root of 16 is 4, right? Also, right? Perfect square. So far it has checked off, right? Like both of them have to be perfect squares. Let's see if the middle term would actually be 2 times the square root of the first term times the square root of the last term. So the way I'm going to do that is here. If you go, how do I want to do that? I'm going to go over here, check if middle term is 2 times square root of first times square root of last. Right? So we're going to check that. So 2 times the square root of the first term is 7x. The square root of the last term is 4. Right? So we can go times 4 there. So let's do the math here. 2 times 4 is 8, times 7 is 56, and x is just x. So it is actually exactly like our middle term there, right? Don't worry about the sign. We're going to take care of the sign in a bit. So we did the square root of both first and last. We doubled it, went 2 times first times last, taking the square roots, of course. We got 56x, 56x, right? So that is important here. 56, 56. Now you've determined, therefore, trinomial is a PST. So now we write it like this. Therefore, it's x, sorry, it's going to be 7x. You take the first one. you take that sign, which is negative. So we bring that sign down, minus 4 to the power of 2. Okay, so we determine that this is a perfect square by doing various checks. Okay, and therefore we determine, well, it's then just going to be the first term and the last term put down in here, and the sign that goes in there is determined by b. So I'll just make a note here. Sign is determined by b. So you can have another example here. 25x squared plus 20x plus 4 . I'm going to make it less dramatic now. I know it's a little bit too much. You're like, what? All of that work? I will check. Square root of 25x squared is going to be 5x, right? Square root, so it's a perfect square. That's good. Square root of 4 is equal to 2. Okay. So we check now. 2 times 5x times 2, right? And that is 20x, which checks out, right? This checks out. It's the same as that. Okay. Therefore, it's a PST. Therefore, PST. It's a special trinomial, right? So we write it like this. 5x, right? You take the square root of the first one, the square root of the second one, right? This is going to be squared because it's a perfect square, right? What sign comes in here? That sign, positive. Okay. Another example. Go 16. I gave you that one already. Let's go 1 plus 12x plus 36x squared. If you have something like that, rewrite. Right? You want it like this. Okay, that's what I would recommend. So you just go 36x squared plus 12x plus 1. You kind of have a hint already. It's like, wait a minute, this looks perfect square. 1 is a perfect square. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a PST. Okay, that's 6x. Square root of 1 is just 1. We check. 2 times 6x times 1 is going to be 12x, which checks out. Right? It checks out to the middle. If it doesn't, this is not a PST, abort, right? Move back, right? Retreat. And so we just use these two, 6x plus 1. Why plus, Mr. Dirksen? Because, right, that second term decided that, and we go squared like that. And we'll do one more that would be worth 2 marks if you have something like that. And listen carefully. Let's say you completely missed that this is a PST. You didn't even think about it. You're like, wait a minute, A is not equal to 1. I'm going to use the matrix method. Do you think it would still work? It would still work. It would, but then you would realize that both brackets would look exactly the same. You would have 6x plus 1, 6x plus 1, right? This saves you a little bit of time that way. One more question, okay, before we go, and then I'll give you some homework. I hope you're okay at home with the speed. I know I'm pushing it a little bit, but it's all on the recording, okay? So if you need to go back and check anything, please do that. Okay, so example here. Where was it? There it is. 36x squared minus 36xy plus 9y squared. This would be at 2 marks, right? If you're wondering, like, how much would something like this be worth? It's 2 marks. This one has a GCF and it's multivariable, right? So a couple things to watch out for. Remember, I just talked about that earlier. So you could have a PST that has multivariable again, okay? So all the cases we've done could have multivariable. So let's take out all of these. I can take out a 9, right? So that's equal to 9. That'd be 4x squared minus 4xy plus y squared. Write this down and then pay close attention. You know how you can, the easiest way to eliminate this for a candidate of a PST, the easiest way is make sure the middle number is even, okay? If the middle number is not even, it's not a PST, plain and simple, okay? If this had been a 5, you can't do, it's not a PST, you'd have to use the matrix method, okay? So that's why I gave you that bullet there at the beginning, that this is always even, all right? So let's check. I'm going to check 4x squared, that is 2x. I'm going to take the square root of 1, right? There's a 1 here, and that's just 1. And I'm going to check 2 times 2x times 1 is 4x. Sorry, I made a mistake here. This is supposed to be y squared. Right? We take the whole term, not just the coefficient. We take the whole term, which is y, and this is y here as well. So it's 2 times 2x times y, which is 4xy, okay? Which checks out with my middle term here. Don't worry about the sign, just worry about the actual term, okay? Therefore, don't forget about the 9 we took out, but we're going to make this 2x minus, right? This minus tells us what goes here, y squared. So you have 2 variables there. I'll make a note here again. If the middle term has an odd coefficient, it is not a PST, plain and simple. So then you have to use the matrix method there. Okay, so I did not get to difference of squares, so that will affect my homework a little bit. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so just 1 second. I'm gonna figure out the homework here. Right? It's gonna take you back to factoring as we have been, and these are the PST questions. Okay, 478 is PST. So then you practice what we've done today, but I still want you to continue doing what you're doing. Okay. One more thing before you pack. Tomorrow